Ladies and gentlemen, let us discuss a recent interview that we had over at RedGamingTech with Robert Hallock. Now, Robert serves as the Technical Communications, Desktop Gaming and Graphics over at AMD, and he submitted himself to an interview. And we speak about a lot of stuff regarding AMD's GCN architecture, their vision for PC gaming, consoles, and so much more. This is a really good interview. Now, before I jump in, there's a few things I want to clear up. Firstly, unlike most of my videos, I'm not going to be doing tech analysis on this. I'm going to be going through the interview because this is a really long interview, and I've got another part to this interview coming up regarding the graphics side, and I've also got another interview lined up with the CPU guys and the APU guys over at AMD. I can't get hold of them quite yet because they're all at CES, but I've got it in the works, right? So that'll be coming up soon. Also, I've got a bit of a cold right now. I have done all of this as an article. I would really recommend that you check out the article because, firstly, you're probably not going to be able to understand some of the stuff I'm saying because I've got a bit of a cold. I don't know how well I'm going to come off on a video, but I keep needing to pause this because my throat goes all crackly, unfortunately. There's not much I can do. But in addition to that, Mr. Hallock and I do talk about quite a few references, and they're all listed in the article, as well as some slides and other bits and bobs, so you can check those out at your own leisure. Now, lastly, there is going to be some other interviews coming up regarding other games developers. I'm not going to mention who they are yet because I'm in the negotiating stage, but they are pretty big developers, and they're going to be discussing various aspects as well. So definitely keep listen out and an eye out on RGT. Anyway, I'm going to jump right in. There's probably some other notes that I forgot to tell you guys, but, you know, let's just get on with this. So anyway, the first question is, I said, CPUs over the past 3 years have only increased marginally in performance compared to GPU technology. AMD have drastically beefed up compute potential in the latest GPU cores, for example, the Hawaii, which is inside the R9 290X, with both the PS4 and X1, like to offload a lot of the work to compute to the GPU. How do you think compute will affect the future of games development on PC and consoles? Robert Hallock responded. Each of these is by Robert, I just want to clarify that. Robert responded, "You're right, PC performance has gone a long way in a short while. For example, ATI Radeon HD 5870, outside the interview just for a second, ATI were bought by AMD. I think most people know that, but I just want to clarify it. 5870 was a flagship product just 3 years ago with the price to match. Today, roughly equivalent performance can be found at $139 with the AMD Radeon R9 260X. I digress. But I really want to put a fine point on how hard we've been working to significantly better performance to every gamer year after year. To your point, compute is more important than ever. Consider the following effects used by game developers: high definition ambient occlusion, also known as HDAO, global illumination, FXAA, MLAA, Tress FX hair, diffusion, depth of field, contact hardening shadows. What do they all have in common? They're all compute-driven effects. That's just a small selection of effects that can accelerate with compute resources rather than traditional graphics pipeline. Where possible, GPU compute is a rather efficient way of rendering. The positive trend using compute in gaming is reflected in our architectures, where the Radeon R9, 7 and HD7 series all feature the full-fat compute resources may be given gaming or other activities, like cryptocurrency mining. For example, Bitcoin. So what about the Mantle technology? So I asked, there were numerous performance benefits to AMD's Mantle technology. For example, increased number of draw calls. Can Mantle also benefit compute performance? Robert responded, Mantle was designed to address shortcomings in the current crop of graphics APIs. It's pretty specific to traditional game rendering applications. There is a less pronounced need for an overhaul to the realm of compute, whereas today's languages like Direct Compute or OpenCL are quite robust. Keeping on the subject of compute, how much impact does running compute commands on the GCN 1.1 architecture make to graphics performance? Do you often find compute commands must wait to be processed because the GPU is busy processing games and the graphics performance suffers? Or has the improvements to compute architecture on the GCN 1.1 helped to eliminate these issues? Now, I'm going to quickly go into this, even though I didn't say I was going to do too much tech analysis on this. I just want to clarify this. The 1.1 architecture is really similar to the GCN 1, but they've drastically ramped up the ACE and the Q structure of the GPU. So this compute structure is actually a lot more, let's just say it's a lot closer to the PS4. And I'm sure some of you guys will understand that. If not, on the channel you can check out a video known as Volcanic Islands and Similarities to the PS4. You could just Google that, RedGamingTech, and it'll pop right up. If I remember, I'm not going to promise, I'll try and link it in this article that I'm writing. In fact, I'm going to do that now, or I'll forget and I'll be naughty. So I'm going to do that now. Anyway, on to Robert's response. Yes, I have added the link. It entirely depends on the effect. With respect to gaming, computing graphics pipeline resources are interdependent. Being too aggressive either category of rendering will ultimately compromise overall performance, and this is true of any GPU. Talented game developers understand a GPU fundamentals and design a game that takes balanced approach, not just from a total resource perspective, but when to use compute versus pipelines as well. With respect to products like the R9 or the R9 290X, we refined the basic GCN architecture in a couple of key ways, accommodating a higher level pixel rate for UHD content, off-chip buffering improvements to enhance tessellation performance, more robust data storage and geometry processors to improve geometry shading performance, a smaller and more efficient memory controller, the addition of XDMA technology and support up to 4 primitives per clock, and of course we are able to scale the GCN to a total of 2816 total shader units. Overall though, this is a basic GCN architecture we know and love, but with an extra ounce of love to make it meaner and more capable. What about the audio technology? Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of True Audio, right? So let's discuss that. True Audio on the PC has been fairly stagnant for the last number of years and requires a high CPU overhead for processing. Does AMD's True Audio processor take care of all the processing work with the audio, or is there some processing left over for the CPU to perform? Robert responded, AMD True Audio fully offloads the CPU if the developer maximizes and utilizes its capabilities. It's programmable audio pipeline, so it's only shoulders much of the burdens as it's told. Regardless, AMD True Audio sends the voices it's processing and rendering to the user's existing audio hardware that I've passed through to the end of the device, for example headphones. Now, let's discuss multi-core rendering. With the next generation consoles featuring 8 AMD Jaguar CPU cores, do you feel that the more games on the PC will benefit from increased number of CPU cores as games developers change their engines to better use multi-core environments? Robert responds, I can't speak for the future of console business, but I can talk about AMD is doing. Mantle is a powerful way to improve the robustness of multi-game threading. Multiple game developers, noticeably Johan Anderson of DICE, in his keynote address, have been complementary to API and scalability across cores. The whole talk is very enlightening as topic, but the heart of Mantle is addressing the aspects of the software layer like threading that have lagged behind the capabilities of our hardware. So what about memory bandwidth, specifically on the PC? How much of a memory bandwidth issue do PCs have with DDR3? It's been a hotly debated topic, right? I'm sure we've all heard it. Games developers are really happy that, PS4 has X, or, this has Y. How much of a problem is it? Well, Robert's here to answer. He said, I asked, currently, most PCs use DDR3 RAM for main system, with GPU using GDDR5. Although DDR4 will slowly start to become the norm over the next few years, in situations we have a discrete graphics card, like a Radeon card taking care of graphics processing, is a CPU using DDR3 RAM on a PC bandwidth limited when processing highly complicated game engines due to the number of different tasks and data being processed? Robert responded that DDR3 is more than sufficient for today's graphics landscapes. Linus over at Linus Tech Tips, and he's given a link there, you should check that out, has done an informative video. The final product, the capabilities being equal, anything between DDR3 1333 and DDR3 2400 is negligible impact on a GPU performance. Let me go do a bit of analysis on this because I know there's going to be some confusion. What he's basically saying is that the CPU doesn't need more bandwidth on this to not be constrained to the point where it's unable to process enough data to send to the GPU, right? So in other words, basically, is the CPU struggling to have enough data and to be able to process enough stuff to send to the GPU and that to process data? Anyway, getting back onto it. In fact, excellent gaming performance is all about keeping resources local to the GPU and in its frame buffer. Farming texture fetches, for example, out to system RAM is a very substantial performance penalty. What does he mean by this? He's basically saying, yeah, if your graphics card memory is not enough, and you're basically saying, okay, DDR3, could you hold this for me, please? Then you're going to have some problems. Then you're going to have a bad time. More important to overall GPU performance is the potential of the CPU to feed the beast, the graphics subsystem. As resolutions and fill rates increase, an increasingly powerful CPU is required to capably feed the GPU. It's not the CPU is up to the task, then performance tapers off. Most users call this bottlenecked or CPU limited performance. I'm sure many of you have heard of that phrase anyway. Okay, everyone enjoying the interview? Because I certainly bloody well am. More information, I hear you scream. Yes, we are not done. Don't worry about that. Just make sure, guys, if you're reading this article, to click on the next page because, as I said, this is a 2-page article, yeah? So, let's assume that you're a games developer. I'm a games developer, and I'm in the middle of creating a game for the PS4. There are reports that Mantle is similar to the PS4's API. Since the PS4 uses GCN technologies, it's relatively easy for me to port the game from the PC to to the PC from PS4 using Mantle, particularly if I were using an engine like, say, Frostbite 3 or Unreal. We've designed to make Mantle programming. God damn it! Sorry. Let me start again with some English. Sorry, guys, it's my throat. It keeps catching up. All right, let me start again. We've designed to make Mantle's programming model to be similar to what games developers are already creating on other platforms. Of course, ease is a relative to application complexity, but we do try to make it as easy as possible with robust error detection tools, healthy documentation, robust support from AMD's brains behind Mantle. All the games developers currently working with Mantle have, again, been quite pleased with our efforts in this category. Okay, I know what you're going to ask. What about Mantle on NVIDIA? Well, I did ask this. I, along with many others in the industry, feel it's a great move by AMD to allow both NVIDIA and Intel owners the chance to use TrustFX. Although a very different beast, could you clear up how NVIDIA could be able to implement Mantle if they wish to support it? Robert said that he wouldn't be prudent of him to comment on other companies. Sorry guys, I did try, but you can't blame him for not answering on that one. Anyway, you gotta ask cheeky questions. Anyway, what were the factors prompting AMD to create the Mantle API? Was it simply a case of helping developers solve the major weaknesses in PC gaming architecture, like overheads? Out of quote just for a second, guys, I'm sure many of you are aware of what those are, like draw call issues and so on, so I'm not going to explain that too much. If you're unfamiliar, you can check out one of my dozen videos on Mantle and I'll tell you a lot about it. In preparation for the next generation of consoles and game engines. You know what, I'm actually going to put a link in the article to one of my Mantle things, and it gives you a lot more information on that, just in case you don't know the principles behind Mantle. But anyway, Robert said the games developers did the rounds in industry asking hardware vendors with a stake in the graphics for a solution to make PCs more console-like with respect to hardware utilization, efficiency, and programming simplicity. They recognised that PC gaming could learn a lot from its siblings in the living room. Only AMD took the request from the negotiation stage to the manpower and money phase, and thus, Mantle was born. So basically, what they're saying here, sorry guys, my voice is crackling a little bit. I can't help being sick, unfortunately. As I said, it's all on the website if you just want the easy version, you don't want to listen to my croaky voice, but basically what they're saying is that there's been a lot of issues with PC development. Yeah, I'm a PC gaming lover, I do, but there's been issues with it. Everyone knows that. There's been issues with GPU utilization in some cases, CPU utilization, threading, draw calls, God knows whatever else. There's been issues, yeah. And honestly speaking, from the perspective of a gamer, not even a tech lover, just a gamer, I want the best possible performance out of my hardware. And I think it's great that Mantle's done this, and I speak as someone who can't even use bloody Mantle right now. I'm the video owner, right? I'm the video owner because I bought it to show off hardware physics on a few titles, right? That's simple, and I really like the look of Mantle. Yeah? But anyway, I'm going to continue. Just providing the main technologies inside the Sony PS4 and Xbox One consoles influence your design on the future hardware and other discrete GPUs or APUs. And he's basically said that he doesn't work in the semi-custom business unit, right? And APU. So he can't answer that. Is pretty much what he's saying. I'm trying to get that information from AMD. So I can't promise, but I'm going to try my best. Anyway, next question. With the release, and I'm sure this is gonna... Okay, I'm gonna let you guys figure this one out yourselves. I'm gonna do some analysis on it in the future, but here we go. With the release on the Radeon R9 290X, bandwidth was increased to changing a 512-bit memory bus from 384 and doubling the ROP count of the GPU. Ratio-wise, that's higher than the increased stream processors. Do you find the bottleneck on the GPUs is becoming more ROP and local memory bandwidth on the discrete GPU, or is everything fairly balanced? Additionally, what's the ideal ROP, texture units, and bandwidth ratios versus, say, 8 GCN cores, which, by the way, is 512 stream processors? Now, before we go into this any further, just for a second, I want to point out that this has been another series of questions I've asked Robert. There are some more questions regarding this exact issue that I've asked him as a follow-up. I don't have those yet, as of the time of recording. So they'll be updated probably tomorrow or whenever he can respond. So hopefully you guys can just, wait on that. But anyway, I'm going to get into his answer. Just to clarify, if you can't see this question and you want to see this one specifically, it's on the second page of the article. So anyway, GPU design is analogous to a game engine design question previously posted. Everything done has to be balanced. You could throw fistfuls of render backends at a GPU, but if your memory bandwidth is insufficient, then hardware is wasted, and vice versa. I think it can best be explained by work backwards. What's the performance resolution targets do I want to hit? And then build a core out on paper by your mathematical models would yield roughly performance equal to your targets, and then you build it. For 512 compute units, I would say that 32 texture units, 16 ROPs, and a 128-bit bus is basically what you want, right? Now, obviously that bus is based on the GDDR5 memory. That's out of quote, but it's obvious that's what we're discussing on the memory speeds of an R9 290X. Now, as I said, there is some more to this question that I have asked, but I'm waiting on the response. So, yeah. Anyway, how do you feel that Valve's Steamos will fit into the grand scheme of PC gaming? Valve have said they've got a better performance with the games with Steamos than Windows. Will AMD support Linux gaming and Steamos with Mantle and other technologies in the future? Robert responded, SteamOS' ultimate position in PC gaming ecosystem is anyone's guess, but we are enthusiastic about Steam machines and an open ecosystem approach to gaming. With respect to Mantle, we're evaluating how it might be implemented, along with how and when Mantle for SteamOS should be rolled out into our development plans. For now, we're focused on OpenGL as a delivery platform for Linux. You could see other evidence of our efforts with Linux with our contributions to the 3.1 and 3.12 kernels, or iBuyPower's recent announcement of AMD-powered Steam machines. I asked Developers are enjoying low-level coding with Mantle and other technologies such as True Audio and TressFX. Can you speak a little bit of your vision with games development, both on PC and console? Robert responded, "We're tremendously proud of our continuum we've built with the gaming ecosystem. Games developers have already begun leveraging our commonalities, such as Crystal Dynamics' recent decision to bring TressFX Hair to life in all platforms with Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. We hope dividends will continue to be paid in this fashion for years to come on all platforms that we address." Okay, so this one's been a big one. Recently, TressFX was updated, and I asked them, well, TressFX now does more than just hair. For example, it does grass and fur, and reduce the overheads associated with running it. Can you tell us if you're planning to use a version of hardware physics for smoke and debris? Now, Robert didn't deny this. He said, "I can't speculate on unannounced technologies." Now, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I'm really hoping that that's a yes, that they are working on it, but he can't announce it. I don't know if that's true, or it's purely, you know, you can take that however you want, but I really hope it is, because I think it would be really awesome if so. Anyway, could you give us your thoughts on the current state of PC market? It seems the next generation consoles using x86 based CPUs and more unified development, the PC is hugely benefiting. Robert responded, "PC gaming is alive and healthy. We revealed in Hawaii the launch event of the Radeon R9 R7 series that enthusiasts' PC hardware is growing by 1 billion year over year throughout 2016. It's a fabulous time to be a gamer, but then when hasn't it been an awesome time to be a gamer?" Finally, last question. How do you see the progression of CPUs, specifically desktop related, in 3 to 5 years? And he can't answer the question simply because he doesn't work at the division. I'd hope that the reason I asked these questions regarding the CPU, even though he works at the graphics division, I'd hope he'd be able to give like a generic answer, and then I'd be able to get a bit more information. But obviously he's not comfortable with that. He doesn't work in the division. I completely understand. It's better to answer a question the best of your ability. I understand and I respect that. So I'm going to be getting an interview with the CPU, APU guys soon. Anyway, I'm amazed. My voice has managed to hold up. I will be doing tech analysis of this over the next couple of days. I'm going to leave, well, you guys, your thoughts and conclusions. Once again, there is some more to this interview that's going to be put up over the next couple of days as well, which will clarify a few of the points. So yeah, it basically just didn't make the time for press today, is what it comes down to. So hopefully you guys will join me. And you will join me for future interviews. Anyway, I've got some editing to do, and then I'm going to relax. So I'm going to stop talking now while I've still got a voice remaining, and I'll see you soon. Take care and have a great day. Bye for now. And once again, thank you to AMD. So, bye.